then once we sort of like take away all of the I'm not worth it armor, because all that stuff is like working as like a mist or like a fog to sort of like hide the fact that you don't feel like you're worth it. Once we sort of like detach all that armor and it's left all bare and vulnerable, then we like go in, we like stab the I'm not worth it, and like then you're this beautiful butterfly. Hey, welcome in.
Hi.
Hi. I know it's always awkward because like we've been talking and now like we have to pretend like we just started talking.
Yeah.
So for like first things first, like what would as we talk, like what would you like me to call you?
Um, L.
Okay, sounds good.
No.
Yeah, it's not like a trick question or anything. L is great, bro. Like whatever works for you, whatever makes you feel the most comfortable. L, I will happily call you L. So how are you?
I'm doing okay.
Okay. What is so like on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like amazing, 1 being terrible, where is okay?
I don't know, honestly. I feel like that's just like the answer my head goes to like all the time.
What does your head
like
go to all the time?
like just saying like I'm okay.
Oh, okay.
Like like at work I say good just because I don't want to start that conversation with random ass people.
That's fair. Yeah, and like a
Um,
lot I mean that's totally fair cuz a lot of people like don't want to hear it and that sucks about our
yeah.
society. But that being said, this is sort of the opposite of that. This is sort of like meant for that. So like how are you, El?
Um, I don't know, honestly.
Okay, that's a great place to start. So, just to sort of like start digging into things, like, uh, is there anything that is like sort of at the forefront of your mind that I might be able to like help you with today?
um, I don't know. That's gonna
Okay.
be my answer for most things.
Okay. Cool. Cool. So, when you say you don't know how you're feeling, is there anything that you can identify, like any physical feelings that like do you feel anything like in your stomach or like so anywhere in your body? Is there anything that you are feeling emotionally, just like any little inkling of things that are coming up for you that you can identify, and we can sort of go from there.
I guess just like being like stressed and having like anxiety and stuff.
Okay.
Kind of just everything, I guess.
For sure, for sure. And so, like, I think that you actually said it very well, which is that when you say stressed and anxiety, and then you said like everything, it is. I think that stressed and anxiety are sort of umbrella terms that we use when like there's so many like ripples in the pond that we can't really sort of like identify where anything is coming from anymore. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Anytime I say something that you're like, what the heck does that mean? Like, feel free to make me clarify because I go off on like crazy metaphors sometimes and they don't make any sense. Um, so that being said, so like when you say let's start with stressed. What kind of things are you stressed about?
Um, I guess like school because I started that today.
How was your first day?
It was okay. It wasn't that interesting.
Pretty
I
boring.
only had I only had four of my classes. Um, yeah, I have like barely any friends in any of my classes.
That
So
sucks.
yeah,
It always
but
really. I go ahead.
I do have my best friend in one of my classes tomorrow though, when
That's
we
awesome.
never have classes together. We had health in eighth grade, I think, and then like nothing since kindergarten before that.
Wow, it's so cool that you've been able to sort of like maintain a best friend while not having them in any of your classes. Like I remember I would have like really really close friends that were like in my classes and then like if we weren't in classes together like in future years like we would drift apart. So it's so cool that you're able to sort of like maintain those relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so you said that school was sort of like boring today. So why is it that you're stressed about it?
Um, it, I think mostly just because like school is just stressful in general. And today was only the first day, and we didn't do much. So,
What about school is stressful in general?
um, well, for me, like it's really hard to do work at home, just because it's like at school, it's like you have like it's kind of like you have to do it. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's there. There's like not many distractions, but at home, there's like a lot of other things that like my mind goes to instead of that. Um, and like there's usually like a lot of homework in high school, so
Mm-hmm. Totally. Yeah. Homework is evil. Like, school,
yeah.
because school is evil enough. It's like, like we have to when you get to college, like we have to like pay to learn stuff, and then not only that, but then after we go to class and spend all this time learning stuff, then we have to go home and we have to do more of that work. It's just awful. Um, so you said that like there's a lot of other stuff that your mind goes to, and like that's one of the things that makes it really hard to work at home. What kind of stuff does your mind go to, or like what kind of stuff distracts you?
Um, I don't know, kind of just like things that are like more important to me that like I'd rather be doing, I guess.
Like what?
Like talking in Discord and stuff to you guys, um like obviously that's not as important like in general, but it's important to me, obviously.
For sure.
um and then just like random stuff, I guess. I don't know.
Okay.
And then my mom definitely like is a big part of like distracting me from stuff.
Can you tell me more about that with your mom?
um I don't really know how to explain it. Like our relationship is like not the best. um
How so?
like she tells me that like she loved me and cares about me, but like I feel like it's like every day where she's like coming into my room and like basically just like telling me like everything I'm doing wrong, like
Mm.
all at once. Like she comes in for like one thing and then it just turns into everything else. Like she somehow gets from like one thing to another and then just keeps going. And then like 90% of the time I end up crying because that's your normal response to being yelled at by someone.
Mm.
And I feel like most of the time she like doesn't even care. Like sometimes like she like comes in a few minutes later like and sees me literally having a breakdown right there, like, and then she's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, or like, what's the problem? And I'm like, do you really not know? Like it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense that she doesn't know why you're having a breakdown.
Yeah, because she like literally just like does that and just
Is
yeah.
she the reason that you're having a breakdown most of the time?
Yeah, because I try to like tell myself like I'm doing enough. Like literally getting up in the morning is hard for me and like that's good enough for me and like most of people that I like have relationships with. And it's like I just forgot where I was going with that.
We were
um
just talking about we were just talking about how when your mom will come into your room and you're having like a mental breakdown and she doesn't know
yeah.
why.
um it's like I try to like reassure myself that like I'm doing enough for myself, and
Yeah,
like her just telling me all that stuff is like just like make it seem like I'm not doing anything at all. And like
I
what I
see.
am doing is like basically all I can do, like in my mental state and stuff.
I see.
Like
And so I just sort of want to like echo back what I heard to like make sure that like I'm sort of like getting the like full picture, and let me know if like I miss anything, okay? So what I'm hearing is that like your relationship with your mom is like she does tell you that she loves you and cares about you. It's not like one of those relationships where like you never hear "I love you" from your mom. Like I know that there are a lot of like in a lot of Asian cultures, like they never hear "I love you" from their parents. So it's not like that. But like even though like she says those words, like in her actions, it doesn't feel like it, because what ends up happening is like every interaction feels like criticism, feels like she's saying like you're not doing enough. And on your end, like you because of what sounds like maybe like depression or something like that, because of sort of like the mental state that you're in, we can delve more into that. But because of sort of the mental state that you're in, like just getting up out of bed in the morning is really, really hard. And sort of like, I don't know if you've heard the spoons metaphor. I'm actually not a huge fan of the spoons metaphor. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but Birdie uses it. My wife uses it all the time. So like I've sort of ended up using it just because it works. But like just getting up out of the bed in the morning sort of like takes all your spoons and you like have no spoons left. And then your mom comes in and is like, you need to be doing this, you need to be doing this, and you're like, Mom, I'm exhausted, like I've my tank is on empty. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so one thing that I'm just sort of like immediately curious about is like, is your mom aware how sort of severe your mental state is, how like little energy you have and how hard things are for you?
I don't think so. Um, she does know that I've like gone through stuff, but she doesn't like know like exactly what stuff and like how bad it has gotten, is. I don't know.
And
But she does know that like stuff's there.
is that because she won't listen, or is that because you haven't talked to her about it?
I haven't talked to her about it.
Why's that?
Um, I don't. I I feel like I'm not usually the best with like talking to people about stuff. So this is weird, honestly.
I think you're
This
doing
is
great.
new.
I think you're killing it.
Um, I haven't. I like therapists just don't work out for me because like I'm like I don't know what to say here. Like I don't know what to do. But obviously I know you know I've talked to you about stuff, so it's like, bro.
Bro, yeah,
Weird.
totally. Yeah.
Um, but I just don't really know how to like start conversations like that stuff.
Yeah, that
Um,
makes a lot of sense.
yeah.
So, Elle, there's a couple of different things here. One is I wanna teach you about something called displacement. And basically, what displacement is, and that might not be the right word, so forgive me if I'm using the wrong vocabulary word, but the concept is that in therapy or in life coaching, like when you're working on things with someone in this sort of like deep psychological level thing, um, what'll happen is dynamics that are issues in your life will show up in the room with the person that you're working with. And the reason it's called displacement is because it's like you're sort of like putting the like dynamics that you have like out in the real world into the room with your therapist or your life coach or you know whoever. And it's actually not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing because what it allows and like I will do the same thing. Like I will sort of like as like the life coach or as the therapist, like the therapist or life coach will sort of like become the like perpetrator of those weird dynamics. So like for instance, in you talking about like I don't know what to say in the room, like that absolutely came up today already, you know? And what good life coaches and therapists, I'm just going to say therapists, okay? And like just understand I'm not a licensed therapist, okay? Just like disclaimer, I'm not a licensed but I'm just going to say therapist. What good therapists will do is they will like acknowledge that dynamic that's occurring, and they will, and like you get to work on it with them in this sort of like safe space rather than like out in the big scary world, because that's a lot harder and scarier. Bad therapists like fall victim to it, and that's when like therapists end up like sleeping with their patients and like things like that, and it's like terrible and bad, and don't do that. So one of the things that I'm actually really like sort of excited and hopeful about, Elle, and like one of the things that I hope that I can sort of like provide to you in terms of value is some like tools for when you feel like I don't even know where to start. I don't even know how to start talking to my mom about this stuff or talking to people about my feelings. I'm hoping that I can provide you with some tools to start those conversations, because I think that in any relationship, communication is one of the most important things. And it seems like, and please, like this is just a theory, so tell me if I'm off, but it seems like one of the big issues right now may be that there's just this sort of gap in communication, that like your mom does love you and does want to help you, and that's like why she's constantly criticizing you, which isn't, it's not effective clearly, but like it's trying to be out of a place of love, and she just doesn't understand that there's this big like dark monster that's like gnawing on all of your energy all the time, and like she just has no idea it's there because it's invisible to her, but to you it's this very real monster. And so like I'm hoping that I will be able to sort of provide you with some tools to maybe start that conversation. How does that sound?
That sounds good.
Cool. Anything that I missed in there, anything that you're like I don't know if you're right about this part, or like anything like that?
I don't think so.
Okay, cool. Um, so I think that the first thing that we might be able to do is just sort of like arm you with some language, like almost like a script that you might be able to like go to your mom with and start the conversation. Because like I said, like once you and I got the conversation started, like you've been great. Like we stumbled upon sort of like what I had already sort of hypothesized might be the thrust of our talk, which is like about your mom, just because I see, you talk about her in Discord and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, we stumbled upon that very quickly. It didn't take long to get to that, which gives me a lot of hope and excitement for you. So, I think that the best place to start is like, how long have you felt this? How long have you felt like it's hard to get out of bed?
Um, Definitely for a while. Um, I don't remember exactly when, but definitely for like probably like a little like a year or two,
Okay.
probably.
And are there any like incidents that you can think of in the past year or two that may have that sort of like pop into your head when you think about like this sort of like struggling to get out of bed starting,
Um,
even if it
I
seems like small or mundane?
I don't think so. I kind of think just like it started out not that bad and then it just like builds up, I
Okay.
guess.
So I have sort of a weird like query, and you tell me if it's like ridiculous, but like, could it be puberty? Could it be like puberty hit and you were like, oh God, like I don't know how to deal with all of these hormones and emotions that are suddenly coming up?
Um, I don't I don't think so.
Okay,
Just because like when it started, it was kind of just like continuous and like
interesting.
it didn't really have like a pause in it where I was like, I'm good. There's
Okay,
nothing holding me back from anything. It's just always been there.
okay,
It's just like some days are better than others, and
okay. And so I want to sort of like delve a little bit deeper into uh like getting more specific about what the like depression, stress, and anxiety sort of like feel, taste, look like. So like when you're having trouble getting out of bed in the morning, what like are there thoughts that run through your head that sort of like weigh you down in the bed?
Um, I don't know. I think mostly kind of just like the thought that like holds me back from a lot of things is like just the state, like what's the point, honestly?
Okay.
Like just because like I don't know how the day is gonna go, so it's like what's the point of getting out if it's just gonna end up being like a shitty day and like everything's gonna go wrong. And
Okay.
like it's just yeah.
And so what I'm hearing is that it the way that your life is going right now, it feels like every day is a crappy day.
Kind of yeah.
Okay. And is your mom like the main perpetrator of that, or are there other factors that cause that to happen?
um I feel like my mom is probably one of like the biggest ones, but it's also just like me. I had yeah.
What happens in your head? Can you give me any details about that?
Um Kind of just those like bad thoughts of like, do these people like me? Do they not? Would they be happy if I was like not there anymore? Like stuff like that.
Gotcha. That sounds
Yeah.
really hard.
Mm.
It seems like I don't know, like that. Just like would they be happy if I wasn't there anymore? Like that's a really painful thought.
Yeah.
What do you like? Do you can you describe it all? Sort of like what you feel like in saying that or in thinking that? Like even in this moment, like what sort of things come up for you? Like hearing me say that, hearing yourself say that.
Um, I don't know.
Okay. So yeah, so I'm actually I think that this will be really cool. You know, like if we continue this journey, I think it'll be really cool. Sort of like giving you more of a what's the word I'm looking for? Like a person's collection of words. What's that? What's the word I'm looking for? Vocabulary. That's the word I'm looking for. Giving you more of a vocabulary of sort of like describing your emotions and like naming your emotions and talking about how you feel. And to sort of like get you started, I think that going to your mom and like having a conversation with her where you say something along the lines of like, "Hey mom, like I wanted to come to you and talk to you about how like every day it feels really really hard for me to like even get out of bed. Like every little thing is just like pure like willpower for me at this point. And if you want, I can totally like I'm taking notes as we go. I can totally like type up some of this for you and like so that you have it. Um and then the other part is that when you run into a spot in a conversation with your mom where you're feeling something and you don't really know how to describe it, I think that it's totally okay to just say that. Just say like, "Mom, like I'm feeling something right now and it feels like really really bad and I don't know how to describe it. I don't know how to name it. Like can you help me?" Because I think really like from what you've been describing about your mom so far, and again like I don't know, I could totally be wrong, but from what you're describing about your mom so far, it sounds like she really wants to help and just has no idea how. And so I think that sort of like giving her that opportunity of like, "Mom, I don't know how to do this, can you help me?" I think she'll like jump at it. I think she'll be really excited to sort of like help you work through that. And if not, like, that's a new hurdle that we can deal with. But I think it's a good place to start. What do you think about that?
Um, I feel like that probably would work. Um, I feel like also something that's stopping me is just like even like normal conversations with people, like I suck at it. um, I do feel like I've been better with like my social anxiety and stuff after I had got my job,
Mm,
just because that's like talking to people a lot. Like I'm a
totally.
cashier at a store, so it's like I have to like talk to people,
Yeah.
and I feel like that has definitely helped, but it still is hard with people. Like even with people I know, it's like cool, bro.
Cool, bro. Yeah, it's really interesting, Elle, that you say that you're not good at talking to people because even though like throughout the course of this conversation, like you've been like, I don't know how I feel. In terms of like our conversation, I feel like you've been killing it. Like I feel like you've been doing really well.
Yeah.
Um,
Like sometimes with like things like I'm not like the best at talking about, I'm like not that open about it. But
mhm.
like if someone brings up something I'm like I like and stuff, like if someone says like tell me about Harry Styles or something, I'll be like all over that.
I can break it
or,
down.
like tell me about your favorite Twitch streamer.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Thanks for that ego stroke. I mean, I'm assuming that you were talking about me. I could have just totally embarrassed myself in that moment.
No,
Uh,
it was like you and Doug I was talking about. So
totally, totally. Um, yeah, Doug's great. Uh, so why don't you feel like you're good at conversations? What makes you feel like you suck at conversations?
I don't know. Um I always start out with I don't know for some reason. I don't know. I said it again. Anyways, um I think I just feel like I'm just like awkward and like don't know what to say. Like sometimes things come out, but like not all the time. It's just like me just sitting there silent until someone else says something. But
So you said something cool, which was uh, sometimes like I feel like I'm just like awkward and I don't know what to say. And what I think is interesting about that is I think that it's actually sort of like two different things. So like the I don't know what to say, I think is sort of like the symptom. And the I feel like I'm awkward, I think is getting closer to what I'm starting to suspect might be the real issue. Or like the real like crux of it, the real core of it, which is like that you don't you don't think that you're worthwhile. Like you don't want to participate. You don't want to start conversations because why would anyone want to start a conversation with you? So like if someone goes out of their way to start a conversation with you, like you're all over it. You can kill it. But like you're not gonna engage in a conversation because like no one would want that. Does that feel right?
yeah, that actually did like make me feel like that's actually what like is happening. Like especially when I'm with groups, I'm like sometimes I say something and like then like right after I'm like, should I have said that? Like, do they care?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like I just feel like when I don't say something, I'm like that's good because like they don't want to hear me talk. It's like I'm annoying and they don't care.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's something really interesting happening here. Okay, I'm gonna sort of sketch it out and like show it to you like on my notebook. And I don't know if it'll actually help any more than me just saying it, but maybe the visual will help. So hold on. You're gonna have to deal with my atrocious handwriting.
Okay. Trust me, mine is really bad also. So.
Um, okay. I think my pen is running out of ink, which is horrible timing. All right, so. Oh god, it's mirrored, isn't it? This isn't gonna work. Hold on.
I don't think
Oh,
so.
no? I think it's mirrored.
No.
No, it's not?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay, good. All right. I swear it's mirrored, but maybe I'm glad that. Oh, you're looking at it in Discord, whereas for people, okay, but it's not mirrored for you, so that's fine. That's the most important part. Okay, so it starts out here. Okay, it starts out with "I'm not worth it." Okay, and then because you're not worth it, you're like, "I'm not gonna say anything," and then because you don't say anything, then you feel isolated and lonely, and wait, what else did I write? Lonely and sad. Isolated, lonely, and sad. And then what happens is because you feel isolated, lonely, and sad, you say, oh, clearly because like no one's around and like no one wants to talk to me, clearly I'm not worth it. But it actually all started from here, and it's just like this perpetuating cycle. Do you sort of see what I mean?
Yeah.
So one of the important things that I think we have to do here is we have to start sort of like parsing out the symptoms and the like illness, so to speak. Like we have to start separating out like what is like just like me not feeling worth it, and what is like things that are coming about because I don't feel worth it. So like for instance, Elle, you don't suck at conversation. Like you're great at having a conversation. We're having a great conversation right now. At least I think so. Maybe I suck at conversation and you're like, "Oh god, this guy." But like this has been a great conversation. And so like that's a perfect example of like a symptom. Because you don't feel worth it, everything that is attached to you feels like sucky or bad or like you're not good at it or like it's not worth it, etc. But the reality is you're actually good at conversation. The problem is that you just don't feel like you're worth it. And I think that then once we sort of like take away all of the I'm not worth it armor, because all that stuff is like working as like a mist or like a fog to sort of like hide the fact that you don't feel like you're worth it. Once we sort of like detach all that armor and it's left all bare and vulnerable, then we like go in, we like stab the I'm not worth it, and like then you're this beautiful butterfly. You know what I mean? That's like sort of like big picture. So I have to do this at least once per Tantra. It's just like a thing that I do now, which is that I tell people to notice things. And I think that, Elle, for you, what I really want you to start noticing is whenever a symptom shows up. Because we want to, like I said, we want to like disarm those symptoms. So every time you're like, I'm just not good at conversation, or like, oh, like it's not worth me talking. Like, I just want you to notice it. You don't have to like change any behavior. You don't have to do anything differently. Just sort of notice it and be like, oh, that's a symptom of me not feeling like I'm worth it. What do you think about that?
Yeah. That. I feel like that would probably be good.
Do you
Yeah.
think that does it make enough sense that like you think that you could do it? Like, do you think like you'll be able to um like identify things that pop up?
I think so. Yeah.
Cool. See? Already you're seeing more value in yourself. I was fully expecting you to be like, "No, like I'm not good at identifying things like I don't know. I'm not good at identifying things like that." But you were like, "No, I think I can do that."
I also randomly thought of something else when you were talking. It
Shoot.
didn't. I don't know. It was just random, but
Shoot.
I feel like it also kind of happens like not like in like IRL situations, like like even like in Discord and like in like Twitch chats, it's like if I say something, it's like, should I say that or should I have not said that, or like, do people care about what I said, like stuff like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because, I mean, people put a lot of. There are definitely, obviously, significant differences between, like, talking with people IRL and talking with people online. But
Yeah.
there's also a whole lot of similarities, Like, the kind of work that we're doing is similar to the kind of work that we could do in an actual room together, if I were, like, if I had, like, an office or something. Um, so it makes sense to me that it would pop up there too. And that's one of the cool things about you being part of this community is that, like, I'm going to be around. So, like, when you start to, like, catch these things come up, like, in my Discord, you can, like, name them. My my brother uses that word all the time, and he's like, "Thank you for naming that." And my wife absolutely despises it, like it like hardcore triggers her. So I just said name it, and like immediately I felt Birdie in the back of my head being like, "Don't you dare say that." Anyway, you can name it in the Discord, and then like and I think, and then you'll have like positive reinforcement from the community of like, oh no, like we totally dug what you just said. And then, like, every once in a while, like, someone might call you out for something, Someone might say, like, oh, like, that wasn't a good thing to say. And that doesn't mean that everything else that you've ever said is not worth it. It just means that, like, we all say things, we all make mistakes. We all say things sometimes that we shouldn't have said. I sometimes call people by the incorrect pronoun, and I hate when I do it. But I do it, and I just sort of own it and say I'm sorry and try to do better next time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, um, I want to check back in with you. Let me do this first. I want to check in with you about sort of like how you've been feeling about all of this so far. What are your thoughts on this so far?
It's definitely good. I feel like this is probably the most I've like done something like this, like talking about my life and stuff.
Good. And did
Um,
you say that you've seen therapists in the past?
yeah, I think it's more of the fact that it's like I don't know them that much, and like I don't talk to them about a lot of stuff, and
So it
it's
doesn't
like
feel
obviously
safe.
kind of, yeah, like like it's easier to talk to like online people just because it's like there's almost like no way that it can get to like my IRLs and stuff, because like obviously you don't know like any of my in real life friends or anything,
Right.
um unless like my mom just walked in the door and you were like, hey, your child just told me all this, which I
Yeah.
highly doubt you would do, but um
So you said something really interesting there, that there's sort of like a, and correct me if I'm misinterpreting it, but like there's sort of like a fear of this like this like secret like getting out. Does that sound right?
yeah, because like obviously like therapists say like this is like
Confidential.
yeah, that's the word I was gonna say, secret, but
Yeah.
um like unless like you're in like danger of harming yourself or something like that, obviously they say that, and it's
Right.
um like I do believe it, but at the same time not really, just because like there's like ways that they can like talk, like obviously you can't them, so it's like
Yeah. So here's my question, Al. What are you afraid of? What are you afraid that everyone's gonna see?
um I don't know. don't know.
Okay. So I think I would encourage you to do some digging on that, because I think that, again, to sort of like throw a theory at you, I think that what you're afraid of everyone seeing is that monster that you have lurking inside of you. And part of what's extra scary, L, is that like it's my job to sort of like reveal that monster. And the sort of saving grace, the thing that makes it not so horrible, is that I don't think that it's a monster at all. I think that it's actually some kind of really sort of like scared, hurt part of you that is desperately trying to survive. And so one of the big things that I sort of try to do in general in these things is I try to sort of shift the perspective so that we stop looking at that thing as a monster that we have to sort of fight or battle against, and more as a hurt, scared thing, or a hurt, scared part of ourselves that we can help. It's sort of similar with your mom, where like if she sort of I don't know how to say this. It's sort of a similar thing with your mom, where like it's much easier if you sort of like offer her the opportunity to help you. It sort of like benefits both of you, rather than like if it's a battle, because if it's a battle, like there's gonna be blood, you know what I mean? And I think that this is just sort of like a general concept that works for the most part, is that when we are in a mindset of like, when we feel asked for help, it's one, sort of disarming. Like if someone says like, please help me, it's a whole lot harder to like be like aggressive toward them. And two, it's also empowering for the person who's providing the help, which in this case is you. So like looking at this monster as a part of yourself that you can help, sort of like all of a sudden makes you feel or seem like, really like capable, and like yeah, like I can help this like little girl, this little person that's inside of me, and sort of help them to heal, and you sort of like gain power from that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a rant. What do you think about that?
I think that it definitely makes sense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Can you sort of like echo back to me what you got out of it? I'm curious, like what parts, because like communication is like, whenever you communicate, like 50% of it is like immediately lost. So I'm curious sort of like what parts landed for you.
Um I'm blanking on words.
Yeah, I know. I'm sort of putting you on the spot here. I'm sorry. Um, I'm curious if like any part of it sort of like connected with you emotionally. Like, were there any parts of what I said that sort of like stood out to you, that you were like, oh yeah, or like, oh, like I hadn't thought about that before, like anything like that?
I don't know. Kind of just like all of it, I guess. I don't really think about these kind of things. So.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, so we'll keep sort of like digging around in there. I am definitely sort of giving you like a crash course, so to speak, of just sort of like all that I'm sort of seeing, and like what I think that like we could work on, and like what I think I might be able to help you with. Um, is there anything that is there anything else that we haven't touched on that you would really like to talk about, work on, ask about, anything like that?
Um, I not that I can think of.
Cool. Um, the last thing that's coming to mind for me is this thing about sort of like not being able to sort of like identify your emotions, and like not really like knowing how you're feeling, and it all just sort of becoming like this munge. um and again, like I want to encourage you to sort of like start to notice when you feel anything, like even if you can't name it, if you can just sort of like start to notice when it comes up, and then talk with people about it, whether it's your mom or people in the Discord, like whatever it is, just sort of like start to talk with people about it, and hopefully we'll be able to sort of like give you some better vocabulary to start to identify what those things are, because I think that the more that you can identify them, the more that you'll be able to the less that they'll control you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, I think that the biggest thing that I like your homework, like the biggest thing that I'd like for you to take away, if you're down for it. Sorry to give you homework. I know I'm just like school. Um, is to have a conversation with your mom, and that conversation of just like, I don't I have an incredibly hard time even getting out of bed, and like everything that I do feels like pure willpower. And then, like, as that conversation progresses, using language like, "Mom, I'm feeling something really strong right now, but I don't know how to say it. I don't know how to describe it. I don't know what it is. Can you help me work through it?" And see how she responds, and like, check in and let me know. Does that do you think you can do that?
I can try. I can't guarantee it,
No, of
but
course, of course. That's all we can ask, is that you
yeah.
try. What you had said, like, I feel like the first thing that you expressed was like, I feel like I'm not even good at like normal conversation. Are there any other things that are coming up in terms of like what would hold you back from talking to your mom?
Um, I feel like maybe just like as I've said before, like not really knowing what to say. I feel like sometimes I'm like I don't know what to say. I end up laughing and it just turns into something that's not like serious.
Yeah,
I've done that a lot today. Just if you've noticed it,
totally.
as I literally just did.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. And
um,
so, again, to sort of try to like give you a tool there, first of all, like, it's totally natural, and like a lot of people do it. Like, a lot of the time, when I was younger, like my parents never used like corporal punishment or anything, but the like couple of times that my mom spanked me, I remember I remember laughing when she did it, just because like I didn't know, like my body mind like just didn't know what else to do. Like it didn't know how to process what was going on, and so like all it could do was just sort of laugh. Um, and so when you get stuck in a part of a conversation where you're like, I don't know what to say anymore, that's a great place to start. Where you just say like mom, like we're in a part of the conversation where like, and I mean, you know, obviously if this isn't true for you, don't say it, but like, mom, we're in a part of the conversation where like I feel like we're getting somewhere, like I feel like we're having a good conversation, but like I don't know where to go from here, and I don't know what to say anymore. Can you help me? And I might even, you might even catch me using that trick on you from time to time, where I'll be like, I don't know what to do now. Can you help me? And then all of a sudden like you're empowered and you get to sort of like steer the boat. So, yeah. All right. Any last questions, concerns, wonderments?
I don't think so.
Cool. Um, I'm gonna sort of like summarize what we talked about today, both for you, and then just, you know, like for anyone who watches this, so that we can sort of like, you know, get sort of a full picture. But before I do that, how have you felt about all this? And like, be honest.
I feel like it was good. Yeah.
Were there any parts that you were like, oh my god?
No. Um, I I think it was just like um, it was just good getting to talk about this stuff, and like just
Cool.
like it being out there with you.
Get it
And
off your chest, right?
yeah.
Yeah. That's a big part of like what this kind of work is like a big part of it is like, especially like when, you know, especially like if we were to start like working together privately or whatever, sometimes like, you know, you would just come in, you would like talk to me all day about like, you would talk to me for like the full hour about like a really tough day at school, and then like you would leave feeling a little better, and like I wouldn't have done much other than just listened, because that feels really nice, having someone listen to you, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Sorry. Um, how did I say sorry? Anyways, I say sorry a lot also.
Good job. Do you see what you just noticed? It, you just noticed it. Good job.
Yeah. Um, like I don't know why, but I feel like I've had like kind of like anxiety this whole time also, just because it's like I don't like that heavy chest feeling, like kind of like hard to breathe, I guess. I don't know.
Good.
But I don't know why, honestly. Like obviously it was like good getting to like talk about that stuff, and then like I feel like it might have been just because of like this is like going out and like people are gonna see this. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't really care that much, but it's like I don't know. It's just like eh.
Yeah. Your big fear of this like getting out to the world is like literally coming true right now.
Yeah. I mean,
Makes a
I
lot
don't
of
have
sense.
yeah, I have no idea like how the hell this would ever get to like my IRL friends. I don't know
Yeah.
how that would happen,
Yeah.
but
But it
yeah,
could.
hmm,
Just
don't know
terror,
how.
just gripping terror. Yeah. Yeah, well, I first I just want to commend you, because I think that you just did a really good job describing what you were feeling. and that's been really hard for you this whole conversation. So like, good job. And then secondly, I always want to like respect your boundaries. Like that's the most important thing here. So like, if we finish this conversation and you're like, you know what, like, it's too scary. I don't want this posted publicly. Like, that's okay. Like you can tell me that. I don't want to like, you know, put you on blast when if that's not something that you're comfortable with. Um, okay, real quick, I'm just gonna sort of like summarize a little bit of what we talked about today, and then we'll finish up. So the first thing that we sort of talked about was that you just sort of like feel stressed and anxious all the time, and we sort of talked about stress and anxiety as sort of like this umbrella term that sort of encompasses a whole lot and is sort of used to sort of like hide all of the stuff underneath, all of the like specifics underneath. And so like one of the big things that we want to do is start like delving into what those terms actually mean. Instead of just leaving them as stress and anxiety, we want to delve in and be like, "Oh, like I'm feeling really anxious because I'm afraid that like everyone is going to see this like monster that I feel like is inside of me." And, I'm feeling really stressed because like social interactions at school are incredibly hard because like I don't feel like I'm worth it. I don't feel like I'm worth having social interactions. And then we sort of transitioned into talking about how it's hard to work at home, and a big reason why it's hard to work at home. There were a couple. One was just sort of like Discord and like Twitch and stuff. Which, by the way, you give me an idea. I kind of would like to make like a study channel where like you can like hop in and like study with friends, like a voice channel where you just sort of sit together and help keep each other concentrated. I think that might be a cool idea to sort of encourage people to not use the Discord as an escape, but rather like something to help them. And then that's where we sort of transitioned into talking about your mom, who is also sort of like, from what you said, sort of like the main perpetrator of why like being at home is hard. And even though she says that she loves you, and like I think to a certain extent, like you do believe her, like you do think that she loves you, and at the same time, like her actions seem to say that like she's just constantly criticizing you. She's constantly making you feel not good enough. It's totally okay to just yawn, just like open wide like a lion if you want to yawn. It's totally cool. Um, she's constantly criticizing you, and it makes you feel like you're not worth it, like you're not good enough. All of this stuff that we've been talking about that like a year or two ago started up, like it all seems, this is just a hypothesis, it all seems to sort of stem from your mom, the sort of like constant criticism of your mom, which is why I think that having this conversation with your mom is so important about how like it's hard to get up in the morning, and like you have no spoons from like like everything is just like pure willpower. And then when you run into places where you feel like I don't know how to talk about this anymore, I don't know how to express this emotion, just bring that to your mom during the conversation, saying like, hey, can you help me with this? um, and then Elle, if we do continue to work together, like this idea of like displacement, where like we'll sort of like play out scenarios in the room that are similar to that of your real life. And I think that working through those will be really valuable. um, and then when noticing symptoms, noticing when you're sort of like feeling like I'm not worth it is creating external things that aren't true, like the idea that you're bad at conversation. You're great at conversation now. You're great. You're such a like a ray of sunshine in the Discord. Like there's no way that you're bad at conversation, but this sort of I'm not worth it complex inside sort of paints that picture for everything. And so sort of catching that pattern, and like you don't have to change anything about it. I mean, eventually it will sort of change, but you don't have to change anything about it, just starting to notice it. and how that I'm not worth it creates a cycle where it's like, I'm not worth it, therefore I don't talk, therefore I'm lonely and sad, and therefore I feel not worth it. And then the cycle repeats. And then the last thing that I thought was really interesting and juicy is this sort of like fear of like your secret getting out. That like everyone's gonna see this like deep, dark, ugly part of you. And the thing is, Elle, that I think that people that are worth it really want to see that deep, dark part of you. You know, like the people that are worth having in your life are the ones that can look at that monster and say like, that's beautiful. Like that, like, or like, that's ugly and that's okay. And like, I accept you anyway, even with all that ugly stuff. Those are the people that are really worth it. And I'm excited. I'm excited for you. I think that like the fact that you're sort of like dipping your toe in this stuff now when you're this young means that like by the time that you're my old age, you're gonna be a wise old sage. You're gonna be like meditating and like floating while you do it. It's gonna be amazing. Yeah. With that being said, do you want to like plug yourself real quick, like tell people like where they can find you and things like that if they want to like check out your stream or anything like that?
Like to send my usernames and stuff, or what?
If you want, you don't have to, but if you want to, you can be like, hey, follow me at twitch.tv/ you know. Come on, play it up. Put on the Tentacle. Do it.
It's weird how I just did that, and now at this part, I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Yeah, so my Twitch is LIsBestie.
Twitch.tv/ the letter L is bestie. Like a best friend, bestie.
Said like that, not LIsBestie.
Not LIsBestie. Because that sort of goes against the whole like pronoun thing, and like it just
yeah.
That's not what you want. So LIsBestie. All right, yeah. Cool. And then just a shameless plug on my part. If you know, like Elle, like I said, like if you want to continue this, feel free to reach out and like we can sort of like continue this privately on like a more regular basis if that's something that you're interested, or you know, if that's something that you're interested in. And then for anybody who's watching, I offer these public sessions that you can sign up for with like a link in the description, or I also offer private sessions that are more regular that you can sign up for. The public sessions are free, the private sessions are paid. So if that's something that you're interested in, feel free to sign up. And Elle, thank you so much for heckin' doing this with me. I really appreciate it. And I'm like I said, like I think that you're great, even with all of those like ugly demons down deep inside of you. Any last remarks?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. Hey, you didn't say I don't know, so works. All right. Bye.